Hi everybody, welcome back to DayZ and welcome back to one of my favourite places in Chernis actually. This is the reservoir near Dambog, where the dam is, where there's this rather nice sort of holiday complex with holiday chalets. However, what we're going to be looking at today is fishing and the new fishing mechanic that's been introduced with 1.26, because things are a little bit different now in terms of how you fish, but also how you can put your fishing rod, your fishing kit together. Also, I'll be talking about traps as well at the end. We're just waiting for this stuff to cook off there. So, let's go and have a look. So, when you fish, you obviously can find the normal fishing rod out and about around. And if you're lucky enough to find one of those, they can keep you alive for a long time. They don't fit in bags the same way. In fact, they don't fit on your shoulder at the moment. That's just something that I found out, just testing. I don't know whether that's some sort of bug. But also, if you can't find one of them, there's also the simple fishing rod. Now, the simple fishing rod is just made with a rope and a stick. But either of them all need a hook. So you can actually find fishing hooks round and about. It's hunting places where you tend to find them. But if you have a knife and a piece of wood, you can make not a bone fishing hook, that would be silly. You can make a wood hook. Again, won't last very long, but it could be enough to get you a fish to keep you alive. The bone hooks are made with a knife and bones. So whenever you cut up an animal, I always say this to everybody, whenever you cut up an animal and you're left with some bones, make yourself a couple of hooks and make yourself a couple of bone knives as well, because you never know when they might come in handy. But we also have this thing called a jig, or it's a lure. And the big advantage of the lure is that it doesn't need bait. So you can just use it and you don't have to find any worms or bits of fruit or something. So for example, if we pick up the fishing rod here and we put a hook on it, like so, you see we've now got this space for bait, so I'd have to dig up some worms and put a worm on it. So this fishing rod is now ready to go. So now we can go and fish because we've got the rod and we've got the bait on it. Now what you do is you kind of cast, and if you're on console I think it's trigger, and what you're looking for is like a little splash in the water. So you keep holding down on left trigger on your mouse on computer, or hold down I guess it's your trigger on console, and you look at the water and wait for a splash. Normally there's a little sound to go with it. Oh, that was it there. Really difficult to see. Right, let's see if our worm has gone. So let's take that off. Let's put a lure on there instead. So round about in the middle of the screen there was this little splash that you may or may not have seen. When you look at it on the monitor of your TV, you can see it. Oh, no, too early that time. Let's do it again. I haven't caught any boots or anything like that yet. That used to happen quite a lot with the old fishing mechanic. There it was. Did I get him? Yes, we got the fish. So there was a little it's a really small splash you'll see, and then with a bit of luck you'll then end up with a fish. Then you can take your fish and you take your knife and you can gut and prepare your fish. Dum, 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 dum. And now we've got our fillets. One fillet anyway. And now what we could do is we could put them on the end of a sharp stick and cook them over a stove, or we could fill a pot with water, make a stand, or we could go to a house and put them on a fire and cook them or dry them and have some very, very nice food indeed. So as you can see, fishing, fantastic way. It's a really cool mini game now, I think. And very enjoyable. And the beauty with fishing is it enables you to stay alive while off the beaten track without having to revert to things like guns and shooting animals, because fishing is pretty quiet. It's pretty stealth, isn't it? So that's pretty amazing. Now the other way that you can get fish as well is with traps. So here we have a fish net trap. People forget about these. So if you get some metal wire and some netting, you can make a fish trap like that. Or if you get a bottle and just combine it with a knife, you can make a small fish trap. But all of these do need bait. So let's put a little bit of bait in that one. Bit of bait. And the bait could be something like a peach slice or something like that. Pumpkin slice, you can put them as well. I don't know whether you can put meat in them, maybe. I'm not quite sure. Worms are easily available, aren't they? You just you take your knife and just dig up some worms. And you just leave them, and they're just a lure, and then you'd wander off and do some other stuff, and then hopefully at some point you'll come back and there'll be a fish in the trap, or the bait will be gone and you need to rebait it. But you can imagine you could have several of these set up along a river, and it's kind of a really nice way to gather food, and again live off grid, if that makes sense, in DayZ, where you're nice and quiet, you're nice and stealthy, and you're living off the land in a very, very nice way. So there we go. That's the new fishing mechanic for 1.26. Really cool little mini game. Fishing is highly underrated, I think, and underutilized in DayZ, especially the fish traps. But there we go. Hopefully you found this useful. If you have, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. And of course, I'll see you again soon.